Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage President and Chief Hospital Executive of Hackensack Meridian Ocean Medical Center, Jason Kreitner.
Good evening. Wow, what a night. Okay, this is really, really exciting, especially for the team over here by my right shoulder. Couldn't predict better weather than this, right? I mean, last week, Grant, I'm sorry, I'm crazy. We call it an audible. We're gonna go downstairs. I'm like, no. Ocean Medical Center. It sounds as ocean in their name. We got to do this outside, and we took a chance, and I'm so glad we did. It's a beautiful night, and we're able to extend the invitations. How many people can arrive? We have our live streaming, so it's working out really well. So welcome to a really amazing evening. Yeah. It is my privilege and honor to welcome you to our inaugural residency graduation ceremony that marks another significant milestone for Ocean Medical Center. Thank you for joining us in person, and for those that are watching virtually. Okay. In 2018, we established our residency program that included 8 family medicine and 6 psychiatry residents. A year later, we added 8 internal medical residents. I am pleased to say that today, we currently have 60 residents in a growing clinical academic program. This accomplishment would not have happened without the vision of leadership and support of Hackensack Meridian Health, Board of Trustees, our hospital Board of Trustees, and our CEO, Mr. Bob Garrett. It is my pleasure to acknowledge 2 visionaries that made this dream come true, and they're here this evening. Dr. Vincent Pavona. Our Chief Medical Officer, whose legacy and tireless dedication in establishing the graduate medical education program at Ocean Medical Center will live on forever. Thank you, Vinny. Okay. This could not have been done without your guidance and your leadership. And Dean Lynn. There's Dean. Okay. Dean is our former president of the medical center who's guided the vision of transforming Ocean Medical Center into a premier community teaching hospital. Okay. I'm honored and humbled to have you join us today as we celebrate our first graduation. I know you're very proud, Dean. Okay. I would also like to recognize and thank our faculty program directors, Dr. Kelly Essery, Kronhaus, okay. And Dr. Ramon Solka. Okay. Who have supported our residents during this critical part of their clinical and professional journey. Okay. Dr. David Kuntz for his leadership and academic guidance. Okay. And our nurses, clinical leaders, and physicians for their strong collaboration and communication with our residents who have guided them throughout their journey and helped them hone on their skills. Okay. I am grateful to the Ocean Medical Center Foundation and the generosity of the Grunin Foundation that has been instrumental in the success of our graduate medical education by providing a generous gift to help us establish and grow the new program. Heather Barberi, Executive Director, is here with the Foundation. Heather, thanks for being here. Appreciate all your support. And finally, I'm honored to be joined here this evening with our first resident graduating class and their families. Okay. Okay. I don't have to tell our residents that residencies are intense. It was the busiest and most challenging time of your career. I'm sure you would agree. You worked diligently for long hours as part of your graduate medical training. You are an integral part of our healthcare team and have made a significant contribution to all of our successes. Your dedication to our clinical teams and our patients was outstanding. Get this, right? No one could have predicted a pandemic during your clinical training, right? Did you sign up for this? Did you expect this? Did anybody ever thought this just a year and a half ago? You continue to shine with compassion during this pandemic. Your resiliency enabling us to provide the best care for our patients. And just as a side, you really got Ocean Medical Center through really one of the most challenging times this organization has ever been through. Your support to our nurses, I know we've recognized a lot of our residents throughout this past year, really supporting our team. And when we needed you guys were there for us. And just really can't thank you enough for all of you done for Ocean Medical Center and our team. Okay. In addition, you have all passed the American Board of Family Medicine board examination for practice in family medicine during this time. Every single one of you. That is truly, truly amazing. besides you guys, this is not on script, besides you guys being tremendously bright, I mean, our physicians and our team really help, I'm sure, guide you during that test-taking process through certainly their experiences really transitioning to your knowledge. So congratulations, that's a huge accomplishment. Okay. This evening, we're celebrating this academic milestone in our Remembrance Garden. This is a special place. This is what I like to call a sacred ground here at Ocean Medical Center. That's our Remembrance Garden. We have planted a native crepe myrtle tree in honor of our team members who passed from COVID-19. And unfortunately, we had 2 team members that many of you know did pass through this really difficult time for all of us. It also celebrated our past with an hourglass memorial, and we buried a time capsule to remember the past as we look forward to the future. That's out in our garden there to our right. I invite all of us to take a moment of silence to imagine a future that looks very different from the past, to remember those who have lost to the pandemic and reflect on how we will make a difference moving forward. Thank you. I'm humbled and proud to congratulate our first graduating class, our pioneers, trailblazers, and future healthcare leaders. Congratulations. With that, I'd like to introduce Dr. Ken Sable, my boss, Regional President of the Southern Region. Ken?
Good evening. So how about a round of applause for Jason Kreitner, who has been our fearless leader at Ocean Medical Center, at least for the past year during this crazy pandemic. So I'm going to go off script a little bit, and there's about 4 points I want to cover today. The first is I just want to say thank you to all of our residents. You know, as Jason said, you didn't sign up expecting this to be a pandemic, and residency is hard enough, and I'll talk about mine in a second. It's hard enough to do a residency in normal times. When we're in the middle of a pandemic, once in a lifetime, once in 100 years, for all of you to really come to work every single day, be there for your patients, for their families, for each other, and never complain. Did they complain? No? Okay. Never complain. I never heard you complain. Is truly remarkable. And it's really, the precursor to what you are all going to be in your careers as attending physicians. Having gone through this, I truly believe you can accomplish anything at all. So thank you for that. The second point I want to cover is congratulating you for being the first. You can only be the first once. And you are, in all eternity, the first graduating class at Ocean Medical Center. And you will forever be able to brag about that. And for all future generations to be able to say you are the first. And there's something wonderful about being first. So congratulations to all of you for being the first graduating class at Ocean Medical Center. So third is, this month, about 19 years ago, I was in your shoes. I was graduating from an emergency medicine residency program at Cooper Hospital in Camden. And my chairman said to us, and I'll never forget, don't try to change the world all at once. Worry about one patient at a time. And I think that advice has really kind of helped me as I was going through my early career practicing medicine, and realizing that, it's going to be hard to boil the ocean. You can't do it all at once. You're not going to save the world all at once. But that one patient that's in front of you, that's the patient you're connecting with. And being able to have that connection and that bond is a privilege and an honor that you should never, ever take for granted and never abuse. These patients who come to us, and as an emergency physician myself, they come to see me, they tell me their entire life story within 30 seconds. They don't even know me. They get undressed. They allow us to examine them. When you think about the power that all of you have, all you have to do is just focus on that one patient. And how can you help that one patient? How can you make that patient's life better? And if you do that, I think you're going to find it much more manageable and a lot less stressful. And last but not least, I remember, around this time, again, 19 years ago, I was preparing to finish residency. I finished my last shift on June 30th, 2002. And I started as an attending physician at Maimonides Medical Center, July 1st of 2002. I don't know if any of you are taking time off. If you are, I recommend it. But I didn't. I wanted to get a paycheck and I wanted to get moving. But I remember that first shift at Maimonides, which was a very busy, urban, Brooklyn, New York, very busy. I look at Ramon, who was there with me. tertiary, crazy emergency department, very, very sick patients. And they were double parked all around the ER. So there was one patient in the back and then a stretcher in front. And I walked into the bathroom and I was dripping sweat. I was so terrified and scared. And I thought, there's no way I can do this. I washed my face off. I think I called my dad. I said, Dad, I don't know about this place. I'm worried I'm going to kill somebody. And he said, you know what? You got to rely on your training. You got to be confident. You're here for a reason. And you're going to be fine. And so my message to all of you is you're going to be fine. You may be a little freaked out when that first case in whatever area you're going into, whether you're doing, private practice or joining a group or whatever. But the first time when you don't have that attending physician there to make that decision for you, it's going to be anxiety producing. It's comforting to have the attending physician always available to make those decisions. And you may not have that anymore, although you'll always have someone you could bounce things off of. But just remember, you were trained by amazing doctors here at Ocean Medical Center. You were trained in a wonderful organization with excellent support, and trust yourself. Trust your training, trust your work ethic, trust everything that has gotten you to this place in your career, and you will be absolutely fine. So again, I want to just end by saying thank you, congratulations, good luck to all of you. If you ever need anything, whether it's to Dr. Kuntz, to Dr. Vavona, to Jason, to any of your mentors here, to myself, we're only a phone call or an email away. And we'll always be here for you. And thanks for making us proud as the first inaugural class at Ocean Medical Center. Thank you. So now it is my distinct honor and privilege to welcome Dr. David Kuntz to the stage. Dr. Kuntz is a wonderful individual, holds a lot of titles. He's a co-chief academic officer for Hackensack Meridian Health. He's a vice president for academic affairs at Jersey Shore University Medical Center. And he also serves as the designated institutional official at Ocean Medical Center. He's a wonderful colleague, and be happy to bring him up here. So Dr. Kuntz.
Well, thank you for that generous introduction, and good evening, everybody, particularly to the graduates. This is such a proud evening, and I'm so honored to be with all of you. I think Mr. Kreitner used the term heroes, and I'm so happy I could reiterate that word to your families. These young people in the front row truly are our heroes because of their work during the pandemic, but also for their trust in us. Coming to a program, as you heard, that had no track record. The reason people come to residencies is because there's a track record, but they had great confidence in us, and I'm so appreciative that you did for us. I was reminiscing with Dr. Vavona, Dr. Sulka, and Dr. Kronhaus, going back to Dean Lynn's days when he was the president, looking at a document from 2014, when some of us, probably including Dr. Lake, maybe Dr. Wincoop, we're looking at our plans for residencies at Ocean Medical Center. And I remember I actually have the consultant's report saying, if you do everything just right, you'll be able to start July 1st, 2018, almost 3 years later. And we stuck to the plan, and what a group that we were able to recruit. We've acknowledged a few people. I'd like to take a minute and acknowledge a couple more. One is my predecessor, Dr. Tom Brandysky. I think the residents remember Dr. Brandysky. He was in my role from 2015 until 2018. And we're very appreciative of his support to get our program started. I reached out to Dr. Brandysky earlier this week. He's vacationing with his family on the West Coast, actually in Arizona, but he wanted me to extend his congratulations to all of you. I also want to acknowledge two people who I think the residents would agree and the future fellow would agree are instrumental to the success of our programs, and those are our two coordinators, Roseanne Laura and Christine Lake. How about a hand for them? And finally, I'd like to thank two people who oversee the Office of Academic Affairs at 1610, who really also are the glue to keep this program together and to help put this evening together for us. Francisco Hernandez and Catherine Sheridan. And I thought I'd talk with you just for a couple of minutes about something we haven't talked about a lot this evening, and that's about friendship. We know that a lot has been lost during COVID, and one item that's been written about is the loss of friendship. There may be a few instances where the pandemic has brought a few people together, but more likely because of social isolation and a lack of inability to travel, friends have drifted apart. And as you come out of this maelstrom a little bit of residency, I'm going to challenge you to resurrect your friendships with your co-residents, with your friends before you started residency, because that is truly something that will sustain you during your entire life. Dr. Sable reminisced a little bit. I'd like to do the same. And I'm going to go back even further to the fall of 1986. In the fall of 1986, I was a second-year resident at a hospital in Philadelphia. And one of my mentors and friends was 2 years ahead of me. He was actually at that point a chief resident. And I really looked up to him. He was smart, he was organized, he was energized, he was optimistic. He had a lot of qualities I hoped I could build in my career. After I finished my residency, I stayed at that hospital at his suggestion, and he continued to mentor me in different roles as I learned my craft. I wrote down, and I've always thought about this, he believed in me before I believed in myself. As time went on, we drifted apart, as friends will do. I stayed in the city of Philadelphia at another hospital. He started moving on to different positions. In retrospect, he was moving around quite a bit. A job 2 years here, a job 3 years there. I thought it was because that's what it took to move into physician leadership, which is what he told me he wanted to do. And he left patient care, which was really a strength of his. There was a time that he called me somewhat desperate to come and give a lecture at the hospital where he was working at a time. After all he had done for me, I was happy to reschedule patients, quickly jump on a plane, and go out, visit him, and give the lecture. I stayed and had dinner with him and his wife, who was another resident with us. And for the first time, I noticed something was different. That energy wasn't there, that optimism wasn't there. That wonderful relationship I remember with he and his wife seemed a little strained. I shrugged my shoulders. Everyone has a bad day or a bad week, and didn't think a lot more about it. A few years later, his name is Tim. Tim called me with a health crisis. He said that he had ulcer disease with the complication of hemorrhage or bleeding. The bleeding was so bad that it landed him in the intensive care unit at a small hospital where he was working. He stayed there for several weeks and was so debilitated or weak, he then needed to go to rehabilitation. There was a prolonged period where he was out of his job. They couldn't keep his job open for him, so then he was terminated from his job. He also told me in that phone call that he was an alcoholic, that what had triggered the severe bleeding was the use of pain medications for some chronic muscular pain or bone pain, and alcohol. Told me he wasn't an alcoholic during residency, but several years later, he used alcohol as a stress reliever as he moved into these more and more difficult positions. He'd start drinking after a few months. Things would calm down for a while. Then the pressures would build again. He'd go back to drinking or keep drinking. And right before his performance really started to drop off, he would leave that position and go somewhere else. We talk a lot today about wellness and resilience. And whenever I hear one of my colleagues use that term, I think about Tim. We didn't really know what wellness was back then. Tim was committed to getting himself back together. And now it was my turn to help him, just that he had done at the beginning of my career. He applied for a position as a hospitalist. That was really not a term also back then. And I remember getting a call from the department chair at the hospital where he had applied to work. He had, by the way, committed to going to his state's physician assistance program for help. He had become part of Alcoholics Anonymous. And that department chair called me as I was one of his references and said, "Can I trust him to take care of our patients?" And I assured him I would do everything that I could to stay in touch with him and help him if he had any problems as he moved into this new position. So here he is in a small one-room apartment. By now he had gotten divorced, restarting his career. So for a period of time, I called him every week, and then every 2 weeks, then every month. And he slowly got himself back on his feet. And that was such a rewarding feeling for me. Over the next couple of years, he remarried. He had a daughter, and things seemed to be quite stable for Tim. About 4 weeks ago, Tim called me. I was at home. My wife and I were in the kitchen. She saw his name on my phone. She said, "I'm sure you two have a lot to catch up on. See if you can find a time so we can go visit Tim, his new wife, and his new daughter, who we've never seen." After a few seconds, I could tell something was wrong in Tim's voice. And he shared that he's developed some new neurologic problems. He's been advised not to work and not to drive. He asked me not to feel sorry for him. He said, "While I still feel pretty good, I wanted to call the 4 or 5 most important people in my life outside of my family and tell them what was happening." I asked him if I could share his story. I said, "We have some graduations coming up for our residents." And he said, "Yes, you may." I was thinking about a quote about Tim, and that's, "Growing apart doesn't change the fact that for a long time we grew together side by side. Our roots will always be tangled. So for all of you, keep your roots tangled. Keep your roots tangled with us at Ocean Medical Center." Sometimes stories don't always have a happy ending, but I'm so grateful to have had this long and wonderful relationship with Tim. Now I'd like to acknowledge an outstanding physician and leader whose vision of educating the next generation of physicians is one of the reasons why we're here this evening. My dear friend and colleague, Dr. Vincent Vivona, Chief Medical Officer of Ocean Medical Center. Dr. Vivona's overwhelming compassion for the care of patients is truly legendary. For more than 40 years, you must have been about 8, 10, 40 years he's contributed to the care of patients here in Ocean County. Because of his commitment to delivering high quality and safe patient care, Ocean Medical Center has consistently maintained an A hospital safety grade by Leapfrog and has been awarded a top teaching hospital. And thanks to his tireless efforts in support of the development of the GME programs here at Ocean, we are graduating our first class this evening. Award. I have to have a pause here for a second. The notes say hold up the award, and I'm very happy to do so. This award acknowledges Dr. Vivona's contributions to the cornerstone of patient care, safety, and quality, and will be given to a resident or residents every year from now until eternity who has emphasized these important essential basics throughout their residency. This is the Dr. Vincent J. Resident of the Year Award. On behalf of the Medical Executive Committee, Jason Kreitner, the residency program directors, and residents, it is my privilege and honor to pay tribute to your legacy by dedicating the Ocean Medical Center Resident of the Year Award in your name. Dr. Vivona, will you please come to the stage? Thank you for all you've done for academic medical education, our patients, team members, residents, and the community.
Well,
I really appreciate the recognition. I have to really say that I've had a tremendous team behind me and supported me for the GME project that we had. It was long. It was not always easy, but finally we did develop a fantastic product to go forward, and it's evidenced by the first graduating class and the academic success that you all have achieved. It's always a little disadvantage to be like the fourth speaker down, but I am going to probably repeat some things, but maybe from a different perspective. I have been on staff for 42 years, the last 6 as CMO. OMC is an institution that has always been dedicated to teaching medical students and allied health professionals. The genesis of our GME program began in 2014 with informal discussions between administration, the medical staff, and team members, who all offered their opinions on the possibility of establishing a teaching program. As Dr. Kuntz stated, in 2015, our GME consultants assessed the institutional capabilities and resources for establishing the current programs and a future transitional residency, which is actually starting this July. So really all the points of the assessment were right on. Today, we are now graduating our first class of family medicine residents and the psychiatry residents who is pursuing a fellowship. This first class and future graduating classes in internal medicine, family medicine, psychiatry, and our new transitional year are testimony to the success of our program. It was a long 3 years for these graduates. None of them saw or even imagined what was to come. A pandemic which began over 1.5 years ago, which was 1/2 of their academic residency, occurred. Our residents, all of them, faced the challenge, looked fear in the eyes, and despite all, took care of our patients. The hospital administration and team members stood by their side with no hesitation, and the ultimate crutch was our dedicated medical staff who wholeheartedly picked them up when needed, as well as the GME teaching staff. They will always remember this universal medical crisis. The last pandemic was over 100 years ago. This experience will influence how they practice medicine and approach the care of their patients. They may not know it now, but they will know it in the next couple of months. It will be embedded in their professional persona, and they will be better physicians for it. Also, despite all that was going on with the various distractions of the pandemic, as as we all said, all of our family medicine residents passed their family medicine boards. That's a pearl. You know, you don't have to worry about that going forward, except when you take the research. What are you going to do? It was an important milestone in the universe of medicine. Remember that. A very important milestone. You should be proud of yourselves, especially with all the pandemic issues that you had to deal with. I used to see you running around the hospital, masks on, running everywhere. But you never cowered. You were right there, and I'm very proud of that. It is also a testimony to our GME program, the individuals behind it, and the resolve of our residents to be the best they can be. A great culture, which is important to our institution, and legacy to pass on to our future residents. Lastly, I'd like to thank Dean Wynn. Actually, Dean Wynn, when I first served as a medical director under Jimmy Clark, and then became the CMO when they twisted my arm, Dean was there, and Dean was always mentioning possible GME program. We had such a great culture in teaching. I mean, our docs, our private faculty were fantastic with teaching. You couldn't really compare it. I'd like to thank him for his foresight in really pushing the GME program and providing a real rapid impetus for what we have today. To Jason Kreitner, who continues to preserve our culture and promote our academic agenda. To Ken Sable for his overall and zealous support. And yes, Ken, I like your jokes. To Dave Kuntz, who personally for me, is a great academic leader, but was probably one of the best mentors I've ever had. To Kelly Usuri Kronhaus, Pramil Cheriat, and Ramon Sokol, an all-star team. Remember that, okay? The GME staff and their important administrative support. The GME committee as our compass, and a tremendous GME medical staff providing the education. I proudly accept this award. I'm honored, really honored. It's a legacy for me. And, even if I knew I wasn't going to receive an award back then, 30, 40 years ago, I would have still done what I've done. But I really enjoy it. I'm going to miss it to an extent. I do have plans to come back in some extra curricular type of things with the hospital. And I hope all the success for the residents that are here. I'm proud of you. I remember the day you first came on campus, especially in Moscow. And you really, really performed. And I think that it portends the good classes for the next years coming. Thank you. Now, thank you very much. Thanks, Jason. Thank you very much. It is my honor and privilege to present this year's Resident of the Year Award to Nicole Gabrielle Bashbuskin. Our second award is to Sade Frazier, Psychiatry.
Very much.
Now, I would like to introduce the star of the program, who is our program director for family medicine. And we are proud to say that we have a 100% board pass rate, which, as Dr. Kuntz would say in the academic world, that's what we want, right? That's what we want. Dr. Kelly Usui-Kornhaus. And our husband, Ken Kronhaus. So I will give up the stage for you.
Hello, good evening. As the previous speakers have all said, I might be a little bit redundant, but I also have the opportunity to share a little bit about each of the graduates. And as they're processing around, I will try to be brief. So I would just like to begin by thanking Hackensack Meridian, the hospital board of trustees for their leadership and support in our effort to launch the GME programs at Ocean Medical Center. So we are now a teaching hospital that's attracting more applicants for resident positions every year. We couldn't have done it without the support of the leaders such as Dr. Clark, Dr. Vivona, Dr. Kuntz, the Ocean Medical Center leadership under Dean Lynn, Jason Kreitner, Ken Suchek, Ken Sable, Marie Foley-Daniker, Gary Gray, and Mike Verna, all who had an integral role in getting this off the ground. So I would also like to thank the medical staff and Dr. Walter Weingoop as the president of the medical and dental staff and the entire Ocean Medical Center staff, who were delighted and gratified to share their knowledge and clinical skills with the residents during long hours of teaching and mentoring. And of course, our GME office is by far the best, thanks to Francisco Hernandez, Kat Sheridan, Angela Shand, my fellow program directors Ramon Solka, Pramil Chariath, the associate program directors Saba Afzal, Dr. Ken Kronhaus, and coordinators Jennifer, Roseanne. You make GME a great place to work, and I'm always happy when I get to be there. A very special thanks to my family medicine program coordinator, Christine Lake, and our family medicine core faculty, Dr. Lisa Kasanoff, Dr. Scott Druckman, Dr. Chris Bader, for making everything come to life. And my sincere thanks and gratitude to the associate program director, Dr. Ken Kronhaus, for being my support and foundation and supporting me in this dream on this wild ride through all of our challenges and victories. So, but last but not least, let's give a round of applause to the graduating class of 2021. So thanks to these residents for taking a leap of faith and joining us on this journey. We couldn't have asked for a better first cohort of residents to be our inaugural class. Thank you for the pleasure of teaching you, mentoring you, and tonight celebrating you. So before I introduce each of them, I just want to take a minute to pause and acknowledge all of our accomplishments. So in addition to taking care of patients 24/7, we did have an 100% pass rate on the family medicine boards. For scholarly activity, we produced 23 posters, 9 publications, and 6 research awards, both local, regional, and national. And to those patient encounters, we had over 8,400 inpatient, 13,200 outpatient, 2,000 pediatric outpatient, and over 300 OB deliveries for these 8 people. And we had a great GME team, and we all participated on a project for interprofessional teaming to reduce the inpatient length of stay. As first-year residents, they placed 3rd place in the NJAFP Resident Knowledge Bowl, and we were hoping to go back and defend, but then, of course, the pandemic hit, so that was put on hold. They were very adaptable and shifted with all the changes and challenges that came with COVID, changes to their schedules and policy changes every day. They were an integral part of the care team, doing extra shifts in the ICU, being advocates for the patients, and a conduit of information between the care team and the families. For that, we will be forever thankful. So now I would like to introduce each of them, and Dr. Kronhaus will hand the diplomas, and Dr. Kuntz, if you would also please come to the stage. So as I was preparing these remarks, I was commenting to myself the strengths of each resident. So we're extremely proud of all of our graduates. They're well-rounded physicians who excel in all the ACGME core competencies. They embody what it means to be a family physician. They provide comprehensive, patient-centered, and compassionate care. So first, we have Dr. Nicole Babushkin, who's a graduate of Ross University, a native of Brooklyn, and we're happy to say that she's going to call the Jersey Shore home. We can always rely on her calm, proficient demeanor, and she's passionate about community. She'll be joining HMH Primary Care with Dr. Rothberg and his associates. Next, Dr. Erica De Clemente, a graduate of University of Medicine Health Sciences St. Kitts. She's a strong advocate for resident education and scholarly activity. Dr. De Clemente is leaving us to move to Cape Breton Island, Nova Scotia, where she will provide full-spectrum family medicine to the residents of Victoria County Hospital in a rural fishing village. Next, Dr. Brittany Grella, a graduate of St. George's. She was elected as one of our 3rd-year chief residents. Dr. Grella was foundational to our scholarly activity. She's been selected to present her research at national AAFP meetings and winning awards at NJAFP and OB hospitalist conferences. Dr. Grella is returning to her hometown of Long Island and has taken a job as a nocturnist for Northwell Health Huntington Hospital. Congrats. All right. Next, Dr. Meha Halaria, a graduate of Chicago Medical School, Rosalind Franklin, University of Medicine and Sciences. Dr. Halaria served as our wellness committee representative for all 3 years and is passionate about integrative medicine. She's joining Hackensack Meridian Health Primary Care in Forked River, one of our residency teaching practices, and she will be providing outpatient care and joining the faculty. She will also be completing Integrative Medicine Fellowship with the University of Arizona Andrew Weil Foundation. Dr. Brendan Keys is a graduate of Ross University School of Medicine. He's excelled as a leader and mentor of junior residents. He is always an advocate for high-quality, evidence-based care. Dr. Keys is returning to Long Island and will be joining Pro Health Hospitalist Group. All Right, Dr. Jeff Mosco, a graduate of the University of New England College of Osteopathic Medicine and a native of Ocean County. Dr. Mosco is an advocate for osteopathic education and served as our resident osteopathic manipulation medicine education teacher. He will be joining Rowan University School of Osteopathic Medicine, OMM Fellowship in Stratford. Congrats. All right. Dr. Mahir Patel is a graduate of Spartan Health Sciences School of Medicine, also a native of Ocean County. Dr. Patel served as our second co-chief resident, a strong advocate for peers and program. We are fortunate that Dr. Patel is staying on with Hackensack Meridian Health, Jackson Family Medicine, and will be joining the program faculty. Next, Dr. Charles C.J. Rakowski, a graduate of Medical University of Americas. Dr. Rakowski served as the program representative to the Graduate Medical Education Committee for 2 years. We are fortunate to have Dr. Rakowski staying in BRIC with Dr. Cascarina's practice, our family practice, and he will also be joining the faculty for inpatient teaching. Let's have a round of applause for the 2021 Family Medicine residents.
Thank you, Dr. Kronhaus, plural. It's now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Ramon Solka and Dr. Saba Afzal from the Department of Psychiatry to introduce their graduate.
Good evening, everyone. We are very excited to be here tonight. Before I start, I just really want to thank Dr. Coons, our GME team, hospital leaders, Dr. Sable, Jason, Dr. Vivona. Thank you for everything you do. I am Saba Afzal. I'm the Associate Training Director of Journal Psychiatry Residency Program here at Ocean Medical Center. And I would like to acknowledge Dr. Ramon Solka, who's the current Program Director of our Psychiatry Residency Training Program. He has a long list of titles, but I will just mention one here, that he is a founding chair of the Hackensack Meridian School of Medicine for the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Health, and a true leader and visionary and a great mentor. I would like to recognize my faculty members here and the administrative staff for all the support and contribution to this outstanding program. No bias here, of course. And thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Pramil. Thank you to all the program directors for working with us and collaborating with us and accommodating our psychiatry residents and their, teaching and the education you guys provide. It's really valuable. So I really appreciate that. So, I'm not gonna spend more time here. I'll get to the business. We are very excited to introduce our graduate to you today, Shade Diane Frazier. So, Shade, I would also like to extend my warm welcome to your family and friends who are here, and especially your 3-year-old daughter, Jade. I can keep hearing, and I know I still remember Jade was born when you were an intern, and she's highly adored by all her uncle and aunts and all psychiatrists. Following her milestones all the time. Hi, Jade. And I'm just going to take one more minute to brag about Shade's achievements and accomplishments, so please bear with me. Dr. Frazier attended Rowan University School of Osteopathic Medicine, where she earned her Doctor of Osteopathic Medicine in 2017. She is a Diversity Leadership Fellow in the American Psychiatric Association and the Vice Chair of Association's Minority Fellowship Program, a huge honor for all of us and the Ocean Medical Center. In April, she received a presidential appointment to a 3-year tenure on the Westmark Award Committee of the American Psychiatric Association. Dr. Frazier has a keen interest in community service, social justice, and advocacy work. Her passions are children, women's and maternal mental health, and their intersection with the law and mental health policy. Dr. Frazier will begin her fellowship training in child and adolescent psychiatry this July at Westchester Medical Center in New York, with future plans to pursue second fellowship in forensic psychiatry. Shade, we are really proud of you. You are a rock star. I wish you all the best in all your future endeavors. Thank you.
It's now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Walter Wincoop, President of the Ocean Medical Center Medical and Dental Staff, who will lead the residents in reciting the Hippocratic Oath. Dr. Wincoop.
Good evening. It's truly an honor and a privilege to be here with you all this evening. On behalf of the medical staff of Ocean Medical Center, we want to say thank you. We want to say thank you for making these years so much fun for us, because not only have we had the opportunity to work with you and teach with you, but you have taught us so much. You taught us about your character. You taught us about what it means to be a physician. You reminded us why we decided to do this in the first place. So thank you. It's truly an honor. As you look toward the next part of your careers, know that you're ready. You know, we've had the honor and the privilege of working with you. We've seen you in action. You're ready. And you passed your boards. We're extremely grateful for the care that you provided our patients. We're extremely grateful for the camaraderie, for how you've worked with our broader medical staff, our nurses, our respiratory therapists, watching you engage in a truly multidisciplinary way. That's the future of healthcare, and you did it with expertise and aplomb. I want to take this moment to thank someone who really needs to be thanked a lot, and that's your families. You know, we've all been residents, and it's hard, you know, and without family support, it's even harder. So I know that a lot of you, probably all of you, had a lot of support from your families, and I just want to say thank you to them and give them a round of applause. As you've heard, half of you, we stand right here in Ocean County as far as family medicine, and you look forward to working and seeing what you do also. But for those of you that travel outside of New Jersey, we're excited to have you back. Come back anytime. Come visit, come back and work, whatever. All right, good. So with that said, with the residents, physicians, and dentists in the audience, and here, please stand with me to recite the oath of Hippocrates. I do solemnly swear by that which I hold most sacred, that I will be loyal to the profession of medicine and just and generous to its members, that I will lead my life and practice my art in uprightness and honor, that into whosoever house I shall enter, it shall be for the good of the sick, to the utmost of my power, holding myself aloof from wrong, from corruption, and from the tempting of others to vice, that I will exercise my art solely for the care of my patients, and will give no drug and perform no operation for a criminal purpose, far less suggested, that whatsoever I shall see or hear of the lives of my patients, which is not fitting to be spoken, I will keep inviolably secret. These things I do promise, and in proportion as I am faithful to this oath, may happiness and good repute be ever mine, and may the opposite befall me if I am false to my word. Thank you. You may be seated. And at this time, I'd like to invite Francisco Hernandez to the podium. Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you all who have joined us today, this evening in person or virtually, to celebrate the graduation at Ocean Medical Center's first class of residents. The past 3 years have undoubtedly been a memorable experience in the Office of Graduate Medical Education. We will miss you, and we wish you the best of luck in your medical careers. Residents and faculty and program directors, please stay for photos here on the stage. Have a great evening and enjoy the weekend.
Once again, we want to remind residents, faculty, and program directors to please stay for group photos on the stage. Everybody else, thank you for joining us and enjoy your evening.